All right, welcome back, True Seeker. Earlier this morning, I talked about the significance of the Vikings winning the first game in the UK for this season. And again, how the Vikings are from Minnesota, where Prince, the musician, was from, who died on the Queen's birthday, and how the Queen died on the opening day of this NFL season, the same day the Queen City Buffalo won. Well, on the day of this first UK game, the Buffalo Bills just won in Maryland. And remember, the Queen just died on the Virgin Mary's birthday. And her birth name is Elizabeth Alexandra Mary. And the new Prime Minister of the UK, her name is also Mary. And the show about the Queen on Netflix, they just got a new Queen, and her name is Mary. And I had forgotten something until just today because of the game in Maryland. Again, the game I liked the most today was the Bills to beat the Ravens because of a very consistent pattern. But then when it happened, I remembered. Oh, yeah, that's right. Queen Elizabeth only ever went to one American football game, and it was a college game between Maryland and North Carolina. And the thing about North Carolina is named after King Charles. Again, the same King Charles that was part of the English Civil War. And people who fought for him are Cavaliers. And again, his father was King James. And again, LeBron won the only final for the Cavs on the real King James's birthday. But watching what happens in the Carolina game today could be interesting because, again, they're named after King Charles. Now the King of England is Elizabeth's son, Charles. But isn't this funny that the only time Queen Elizabeth ever went to a game, it was October 19th, 57, Maryland and North Carolina, right? Think about that. The year 57, the only time Queen Elizabeth went to an American football game. This is the year of Super Bowl 57. And again, in Gematria, in the most simple cipher, again, just using the alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z, the 26 letters, 26. If you take the word England, E's the 5th letter, N's the 14th, G's the 7th, L's the 12th, A's the 1st, N's the 14th, D's the 4th. You add up the letters of England, it equals 57. Buffalo, the Queen City, wins on the opening day of the season that ends with Super Bowl 57, and Queen Elizabeth dies. And remember, last year's Super Bowl 56, it was originally scheduled for February 6th, the day in history her father died at age 56, and the day she became the queen. And Cincinnati equals 96, and she dies at 96. Cincinnati, who lost in that Super Bowl, is also known as the Queen City, like Buffalo. But again, there's so many things to keep straight, and you just got to say, what are the odds that Buffalo, remember Buffalo, Kathy Hochul is from Buffalo, who's the governor of New York, and she's the 57th governor of the state. And that shooting at the Tops was perfectly synced with her birthday. We covered that to death. I went out to Buffalo and actually educated at the side of the store about it. And it's just funny, like looking at the numbers on the screen next to her, 51 and 23, added up 74, right? Special number, London 74. Today, Andy Dalton got his 74th career loss in the London game. But yes, Queen Elizabeth, the only game she went to, Maryland and North Carolina. And then she dies on the Virgin Mary's birthday. And North Carolina, again, the Carolinas are named after King Charles, who's now the king, right? It's something else. And again, Gematria, how many points were scored today in the game between the Bills and the Ravens? The score was 23-20, right? 43 points. Again, what's Elizabeth equal? 43. 43 in the most pure cipher. Queen Elizabeth. And again, Baltimore is 41 in the most pure cipher. My favorite number in Baltimore, it kills in sports across multiple sports leagues. Baltimore and 41. Today, Josh Allen gets his 41st regular season win. And he stayed on 25 all-time losses. That's the regular season and the playoffs. Ravens is 25. So he got his 41st regular season win in the right city, stayed on the 25 losses. His team became 3-1. They'll face the Steelers next week. So they'll go into the Steelers game 3-1. Today, the Steelers fell to 10-2 on 10-2 against the Jets, the team that had their only Super Bowl winning season the year the whole 9/11 plan went into motion. Again, 9/11 was simulated 102 days for the 102-minute attack. And Bush was in Florida saying, with the kids. Kite, plane, still hit, must. Now you have the Jets beating the Steelers on 10-2 as the Steelers fall to 10-2 at home. The reason I thought there was a good chance we'd see Pickett on the field today. You got to love that Pickett's first pass was a pick, an interception, and he has his star receiver Pickens, and then his last play of the game was a pick. But again, we saw the chance for the Steelers to lose today because they would fall to 1-3, and then that means next week they can fall to 1-4 versus Buffalo. Remember when you spell out 14 as a word, it is also 41. There's this big relationship with 14 and 41. And Buffalo had the shooting on May 14th, and it was a racially charged shooting, and they said the shooter had the 14 words on the gun. And the Bills right now are 0-4 in Super Bowls. If this ends up being a winning year for the Bills, they can get to 1-4 in Super Bowls. You know, I think there's a good chance the Bills win 14 games in the regular season this year. Again, there's a 17-game schedule now, so that means they'd win 14 and lose 3. But we were talking about this, how if the Steelers got upset today by the Jets, they could lose to Buffalo next week and fall to 1-4, and they're like the class of the AFC when it comes to Super Bowls. And that could be the ultimate Super Bowl clue. So again, these are things to pay attention and watch. And if 14 keeps showing up in the Bills season all year, you should have a good idea of what the script is when the playoffs come around. But this is how we analyze the games, because as we've been teaching for years, the games are rigged. They're synced up with the news and world affairs. The year of the 111th World Series, we were explaining how that World Series was connected to the royal family. Again, the Queen's birthday is the 111th day of the year. They faced New York. We thought the Mets would be in the World Series in spring training because New York's 111. But anyway, patterns, rituals. With regards to the Steelers going down today on the day of this first London game, I want to go back and pull up this post. Again, we have this post. We were looking at the Queen heavily this year. I want to go back and show you what I was showing about when Ben Roethlisberger retired and you had the bridge collapse in Pittsburgh. And then let me see what I got to type in here. Steelers, Queen Elizabeth. This should pull it up. I want you to see this. What's that? Okay. Elizabeth the First death on March 24th, 1603, the 83rd day of the year. Because we've been pointing out all year, since even before the Super Bowl was played, at the very start of 2022, why the Queen would die this year, how it was all connected to football history. So, again, Queen Elizabeth I died on the 83rd day of the year. Huge football number. And let me go back and look at this. Again, you had the bridge collapse at this same time. If you guys forgot, in the most simple cipher, if you write out bridge collapse, it equals 128. Remember, the date was January 28th that the bridge collapsed, and it was the Fern Hollow Bridge, which also equals 128. It was January 28th. And that was also 12 months and 8 days after Biden became president. Remember, he was supposed to be in Pittsburgh to talk about rebuilding infrastructure. And then in the Steel City, infrastructure, Steel City, Pittsburgh, the bridge collapses that day by the numbers. But that was right around the time Roethlisberger, the Steelers quarterback, had retired the day before. Retirement is 127. He retired on January 27th. And I just remember I was pointing out this. There was something really interesting. That queen died in the 70th year of her life, just like Queen Elizabeth was queen for 70 years. Again, royal family has that 56 connection. 56 is 70 in base 8 counting. This year was the 419th anniversary of the death of Queen Elizabeth I. That's the 81st prime number. And again, Pittsburgh Steelers in that most pure cipher is 81. But I'm missing elements of this story. I think there's another post, and this was a follow-up post. I just remember I was pointing out so many things with the Queen and the NFL and world affairs and Russia, Ukraine. And again, I just wanted you to think about all these things we're pointing out, and now what happened with the start of this NFL season, what's happening this week, the week of the first London game. And remember, in the most simple cipher, Queen equals 62. Kirk Cousins came into today's game, the winning quarterback in England, 62 and 62 all time. but he only had 61 regular season wins. He got his 62nd regular season win today. Again, the Queen's coronation on June 2nd, the day she became queen, February 6th, 6226. She dies while King Charles is 73 years old. That's Queen in reverse. Number 19, a big focus of the Vikings game today, who again was born on the day, leaving 131 days left in the year. The Vikings coach was coaching in London, England on his 131st day of his age. London, England, 131. So get a little rehash from this morning. But again, you think about the chessboard, right? And calculating your moves ahead. That's how it is. It's just so obvious that's how it is. People are on the right teams, the right coaches, the right players. It doesn't have to be the whole team. It doesn't have to be all the coaches, but you just got to have some of the right chess pieces there for the planned rituals. And, why they do this? Again, it's all part of Kabbalah. These people are into ancient schools of thought and religion that most of us just don't have a clue about. And we're witnessing the show, but not understanding. Then again, we are trying to understand more and more, and we do figure out more and more as time goes on. But yeah, seriously, that what I've been saying about Buffalo and Kathy Hochul and her being born for the throne and now the queen and all this 57 stuff. I mean, you got to take a minute to think about how perfect this all is. So anyway, just wanted to bring that back up. And notice how when they wrote the article too, they had to write 62 years ago. I mean, really? Okay. And then here, just to recap the game so far today. Again, the game I liked the most was Josh Allen. That 41 is one of my favorite. There's certain cities that have numbers that are just so consistent, and Baltimore and 41 is one of those patterns. So again, and the nice thing about the Bills was a lot of people won a lot with them today because they had good value when they were way down. It was a big comeback today for the Bills. But again, that's the beauty of having the knowledge. And even when a team's down, just knowing how consistent that number is, because there's a lot of people who've been in this community, through all the years of the sports stuff. And they know too. They know the same things I know. Yeah, Baltimore and 41, that's a good one. Okay. Bills are down early. Let's get some better odds in our favor. And, you can turn on the talking heads right now and they're going, oh man, Harbaugh, bad decision today. Why would you make that decision? Yeah, exactly. Why would you make that decision? The casual fan knew that was a dumb decision. Why would a head coach who's paid millions of dollars to lead his team to victory, why would he make that decision? Fans are asking these questions every week, things that just don't make sense. It's because there's fixed outcomes. You only need certain players, the coach, the refs. That's enough to make sure the outcome comes through. I mean, the refs are always there for the do-over with the bogus calls when it's needed. All right, here. So we will check in on some games today. Again, Vikings and Saints. Ultimately, Kirk Cousins had the Queen ritual, and so did the team if they won. They were going to give the Saints an all-time loss against the NFC that equated with the Queen and the stadium they were playing in. Knowing that the Queen's central to this season, Vikings had the better narrative. They won. And they also brought in Andy Dalton for this game, who had the right number to lose. And it's interesting that they benched Winston, because Winston had numbers that, had he been in, it would have been a tough call because he had numbers to win, but they took him out for the game and they put in Dalton. The Falcons and the Browns, really, this was an easy call, and I made it difficult, but I switched it around the right way in yesterday's stream, if you watched the stream from beginning to end. And again, that most pure cipher, that dark blue cipher, Brissett, the coach of the Browns, he got his 25th loss versus the Falcons. Who can ever forget the 25-point comeback on 2-5 by Brady over the Falcons? But he also got his 15th road loss, and Atlanta's 15. So Atlanta 15, Falcons 25. Brissett got that. Usually when a QB has that good of a riddle, it comes through. Falcons did win the game. Cowboys had the numbers to win. They were I think they're actually only a 3.5-point favorite, which seemed funny to me. It seemed like they should have been more of a favorite. Something like that. But Commanders, look at this, you guys. It's the Washington football team. They've been the Redskins, and last year the football team. Now they're the Washington Commanders for the first time ever this year. You see how Washington Commanders is 91? This is Washington's 91st NFL season. Ron Rivera, we liked him to win week 1. He got his 91st win, and then he's been stuck on 91 wins. He lost to Detroit in week 2, and Detroit in the most simple ciphers, 91. 91's the 13th triangular number. Dallas in the most pure ciphers, 13. He had the riddle to lose last week. I can't remember who he lost against. But it's crazy how they stacked Rivera's schedule, how many 91s he plays in the beginning of the season. It's like every 91 team there is in the NFL faces Washington early in the year, again in their 91st season. So, how long does the guy stay on 91 in the 91st season? I wondered yesterday. I was like, man, if it gets off to this bad start, he's staying on 91 through all these. He might even get fired this season on 91 wins. But anyway, Commanders 91, the 13th triangular. Dallas 13. They fall to 1-3 in Dallas. That made sense. The Seahawks and the Lions, I thought this game was real iffy. I said if it's all about London, England today, Pete Carroll is the only coach in the league who can get his 131st win, and he did. London, England 131. And notice he scored 48 points. Remember, you run it in reverse. Seahawks is 48, and Seattle Seahawks is also 43. When they won Super Bowl 48, the Seahawks, they scored 43 points. And they did it over the team from Colorado, which is 43. And notice Denver's 94, but so is Seattle, Washington. And again, that was the 94th NFL season. And then Russell Wilson's grandpa died at 94. And he was originally drafted to play professional baseball in Colorado the day before his dad died. And then he went to the 38th state, Colorado, by the numbers. And then he stayed on 47 road wins. Again, hilarious. It's the Seahawks' 47th season. They're the team on the 47th parallel. Geno Smith, their starter this year, equals 47, and he kept Russell Wilson on 47 road wins in the first Monday night game of the season as Russell Wilson in his debut with the Broncos played his old team. He couldn't get 48, though, right? Seahawks won 48 with Russell Wilson, but he couldn't get 48 against his old team in his debut with the Broncos. He stayed on 47. And you know what else? You see how MNF's 33, Monday Night Football? Russell Wilson was the first ever quarterback to win the Super Bowl on the 33rd day of the year. He did get his 33rd road loss against the Seahawks in that Monday Night Football game. Titans and Colts. Yeah, man. This game had me like a teeter-totter. I felt really good about the Colts, and then I saw something really bad that made me think they would lose and be 1-2-1 going into next week's primetime game, which they're doing. And then somebody did really great research in the community, which I'm not mad at all. And the research said, okay, you got me back on the Colts. I'm filling the Colts again. And sometimes you just get burned like that. His research was awesome. It was a little bit different than what I do. He looked at the AFC South record versus the Colts and Titans all time since they moved to the new division at the time when it was new. And it was quite the find, but it turned out it wasn't that way. Here's what scared me about the Colts. You see how they fell to 1-2-1? If I write out Revelation, it equals 121, right? And if I write out prophecy, Revelation's the book of prophecy, it equals 106. And there's all this history with the Colts and the Broncos. And this might sound dumb if you're new here, but again, you have to understand over the time, so many of the rituals they do with the numbers are numbers that are strong in the Bible. So anyway, the Colts and the Broncos are going to play each other next week. And again, the white Bronco, the white horse, Revelation. So the Colts will now be 1-2-1 when they play the Broncos on 10-6. Revelation prophecy. And Tannehill did get his 76th win today, 76 days before the Pope's birthday. And again, they do sync up a lot of stuff with the Pope. So I'm not shocked that the Titans won this game. There were good riddles going both ways in that game. The Giants and the Bears. I made a joke at the beginning of the year, just in numbers, that it was there for the Giants. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I did see that if the Giants started out the year 4-1, they would do it against Green Bay. Green Bay's 41 in the most pure. And then they would face Baltimore the next week 4-1 if they did that. And I was thinking more at the beginning of the year that they might go into Green Bay somehow if they started the year 4-0 and then fall to 4-1 versus Green Bay. I guess I can't imagine Daniel Jones beating Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I mean, the NFL loves to do their any given Sunday thing, but the Bears seemingly had better numbers for today's game, but there was that thought about the Giants. And the Eagles did have numbers to beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars also had a great upset riddle to beat the Eagles. It wasn't so. What it was Doug Peterson, who used to coach the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, whose birthday is January 31st, like Super Bowl's 131. He could have got his 49th career win today, or he could have fallen to 2-2, and the Eagles coach had a riddle to win as well. But Doug Peterson was facing his old team with a chance at his 49th career win. Eagles 49. When you run it in reverse, NFL's 49. So is America. So is Super Bowl. Again, he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. So, again, I thought that was a smart parlay type of game. Stick it with the teams you like. And then you don't have to bet a lot to get a good payout because they were pretty significant dogs. But yeah, obviously they lost, and it wasn't so. But man, ugh, that's why some games are clearer than others. Like the Bills and 41, that I didn't have doubts about. Eagles and Jaguars, I was like, this is the one where you can potentially make a lot of money, but there are some dangerous things. So again, that's some of you guys really need to work on the listening skills because people will always leave comments. Your picks aren't clear to me. Which one of these games is clear? I'm like, are you taking the time to watch the stream? Because anybody who actually listens to my stream knows which games are clear. I'll say, this one's dicey. Yeah, this one's dicey too. I'm not crazy about this game, but this game right here, I like this, this, and this. And again, every week there's at least a few games where I like a team quite a bit. And usually those games are right on, like the Bills today. Jets, again, the Steelers do look like they're on their way to falling 1-4 against the Bills, where 14 looks like it's going to be their magic number all year. And, if you took the Jets today and went on a nice little underdog, good for you. The numbers were iffy on that game, but we did see how that very well could happen because Bills and 14, there's something there. And then the Chargers and Texans, check this out. The starting quarterback for the Texans fell to 1-6-1 today. You see how Los Angeles is 161? Gangsta's Paradise 161. The man who broke the news of Coolio's death, his manager, he died 160. Coolio died 161 days after his manager's birthday. Again, Coolio associated with hip hop, West Coast scene, Los Angeles. But anyway, the Texans quarterback fell to 1-6-1 at home versus Los Angeles. We saw that was definitely possible, but whoops, I didn't mean to write out Herbert. What I meant to write out was Texans. Oh, it's 34. You'll see the numbers 20 and 34 a ton in Texans games. Chargers won with 34 over the Texans today. But Herbert today could have got his 20th loss. And usually the most consistent things are in the dark blue cipher. So the upset riddle was there that did not come through, which was disappointing. Would have been nice to get an upset there. But we knew that game too. If you're playing these games, a wise man always hedges his bet when you have a decent riddle on both sides. And 35 Thursday did play again. It's always 35s on Thursday. I shouldn't say always, but so often it is. It's just, it was harder to tell the way the 35 would fall this week because Zach Taylor, who won, stayed on 35 all-time losses. He could have picked up his 35th regular season loss. But again, there'll be certain numbers, that come up ritualistically, like 35 Thursday. 46 also plays well on Thursday. And again, just towns like Baltimore and 41, very consistent patterns. Eagles and 22 is a good strong number. The Jags did fall to 2-2 versus the Eagles, but 49 and Eagles also play. So that's why sometimes you'll run into things where it's dicey. But again, the point is you learn this knowledge. You look at the league-wide trends. You look at what's going on that day in the world. You think about just the structure of things. If you start paying attention to the NFL like it's an ongoing soap opera or television sitcom or a trilogy of movies, you just see the connected stuff. Today, big numbers for the Queen on the day of the first London game. And again, she died the day the season began. So Queen numbers in the first London game. Again, purple, the color of royalty, the Vikings winning. Prince dead on the Queen's birthday, who's from Minnesota. Remember, Denny Green died when the Queen died this year. All the images showed her in green. Denny Green was the coach of the Vikings who died the day before they opened the Vikings Stadium. But yeah, and again, if you got here late, the game of the day that we like, Bills over Ravens. Again, just the whole thing with Buffalo being the Queen City, Elizabeth equaling 43 points, the game in Maryland, and the only time the Queen ever went to a football game was Maryland and North Carolina. And again, North Carolina is named after King Charles, who just replaced her. And again, back in 1957, and then she's dead on the opening day of the season that goes to Super Bowl 57 when England's 57. And again, Kathy Hochul's probably related in some way. The 57th governor of New York, the Empire State, who's from Buffalo. So again, people should understand that this stuff is beyond organic. It's some kind of sorcery, spell casting, ritual. And I just want to pull up this Netflix recent news about their show. Oh, hold on. Oh, I spelled it wrong. That's why. Okay, the Crown. Again, the Crown with the Florida lay on it, just like the Vikings playing the Saints today, Minnesota and the Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minneapolis. Um, but the Crown, the new queen, her birth name, this actress, her name is Imelda Mary Philomena Bernadette Staunton. Mary, the Queen, Elizabeth Alexander Mary. The new Prime Minister, Mary Elizabeth Truss. The Queen dead on the Virgin Mary's birthday. The only game she ever went to back in 57 in Maryland. I mean, come on. October 19th, 57 was the day. Let me go back and see how many days from her birthday was. Her birthday is April 21st. Even go back and check how old she was. Forget what her birth year is right now. Well, she just died at 96, so she must have been born in 1906. No, hold on. No, bad math. 96. So she would have turned 100 in 2026. So she was born in 19. What is wrong with me? I cannot do math right now. Was she born in 1926? She must have been born in 1926. Um, Hold on. Going back to though how many days after her birthday it was. It was 181 days after her birthday, which is the 42nd prime number. Again, that's a big number. Well, there is something to say about that. Again, going back to the original two ciphers we learned. Freemason is 9642. She just died at 96. The word knowledge is 90. Oops, I got to spell knowledge right. Knowledge is 9642. The word math is not 96, but it's 42. The thing about all these numbers is the divisors of 42, they sum to 96. There's a mathematical relationship. And again, it was 181 days after her birthday, the 42nd prime. And let me make sure she was born in 1926. Guess that'd make perfect sense to be born in that year and become queen. Yeah, April 21st, 1926. Okay. And the one other thing about oh yeah, the one other thing again, so that game was Maryland and the Carolinas, right? And the Carolinas are playing today. They're playing the Cardinals. So that is interesting. The Panthers are up early 7-0. They're trying to win their 7th straight home game versus the Cardinals. 7's the 4th prime, week 4. But again, watch what the score is in this game. Because again, the Carolinas are named after King Charles. And all those years ago, here, let's get the box score for that game. Box score, October 19th, 1957, Maryland, North Carolina. Maryland won 21-7. 21-7. The only game the Queen ever went to. UNC was the 14 seed at the time. So it was an upset. They beat the ranked 14 team. There was more to think about with this history, with the football game she went to and what's going on this season. You know, Carolina Panthers certainly aren't looking like a Super Bowl team this year. But I'm thinking about what else could make sense in the world of sports where this might also fit in. So you guys can also think about it too. But the clues are here. The clues are here. I did want to make this point too. In the most simple cipher, the word king is 41. Again, Baltimore's 41, right? So we're now in the time of the king, King Charles. And, you know, when Charles spoke for the first time as king, he spoke on 9/9. Again, the queen's birth name, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, is 99. And again, her husband died at age 99 on the 99th day of the year. And then Charles gave his first speech as king on 9/9, which was 66 days before his birthday. And again, I'll remind you with regards to LeBron. This is where it could fit in because LeBron LeBron again with the Cavaliers. King James, again, the son of King James is King Charles. The people who fought for King Charles were Cavaliers in the English Civil War. Right now, they're trying to brew these, tensions in our nation, like they're trying to recreate a new civil war. But remember, LeBron also has that 66 in his name, and in the base ciphers, LeBron James is also 66. And I will not be surprised if LeBron becomes 6-6 in finals the year he turns 42 years old. Again, New Testament, which begins with the 42 generations of Jesus and ends with the 66th book of the Bible, and that's the King James version, 66 books. 4266, the word math, 4266. So again, if you really start studying this information, looking at history, looking at what's to come, you might be able to figure out exactly how LeBron's coming finals. Again, it'll be a while before he's 42. He's born in 84, so he'll turn 38 on December 30th of this year. He will turn 42 in 2026. And again, you got Hank Aaron playing until age 42. The Braves winning the World Series in tribute to him. Of course, you got Jackie Robinson and his rituals. But all of this stuff is surely connected. The whole world of sports scripted together, world affairs, history, and yeah, I'm getting these thoughts out there almost as fast as they came in. But it just dawned on me today. I was like, wait a minute. I remember now the Queen, the only football game she went to was Maryland and North Carolina. So, and whoever wrote this article to do it 62 years ago, again, they probably knew a thing or two about the code behind the letters. So, all right, we'll leave it there, you guys. I'll apologize for having a really mediocre week of football. It's been our worst week so far in the NFL. It hasn't been god awful. If you just stuck with the Bills this week because that's what I really felt good about, maybe you're okay. But yeah, they just. And again, some weeks are tougher than others, but at the same time, there's some major clues being dropped this weekend that that give us some more foresight on the rigged football future. So, yeah, we'll wrap it up there for now. And again, thank you to everyone who supports the work. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and share. Thank you to everyone who signed up for the Patreon or the sports service on the new GematriaEffectNews community website. And I do look forward to people's additional thoughts. If you're seeing something in this with the Queen and Maryland and North Carolina that I'm not seeing yet, I will be looking for those comments because surely there is more. So signing off for now. Until next time, True Seeker.